I'm no longer fighting it. I'm ready to admit it. When it comes to the recruitment of Jasiah Jervis for Michigan State basketball, I'm ready to have my heart broken. I'm ready.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Movie the Game Forward. It's Mazda, move and be moved. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing as we are enjoying a much-needed bye week here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. And guys, speaking of the bye week, what better time to reintroduce a sport that we haven't talked about in a little bit here? Yes, we're talking men's basketball. And of course, what a great excuse this is to get the one, the only Carter Elliott of Sleepers Media back on the show. Always a delight, always a fan favorite. And Carter, we're going to start with recruiting here because Tom Izzo and his staff have seen Jasiah Jervis more in the last few months. And I've seen some very important family members in my own life. Like, it is a all-out blitz. They're throwing the kitchen sink at it. 6'5" shooting guard, 6'8" wingspan, really solid shooter. He's a top 40 kid. He's a top 5 shooting guard, any way you slice it. The kid is dynamite. When I say that, he's squarely in like my heartbreak category now. That's not to say I don't think he's going to commit here, but I put him up there with like the Josh Jacksons, the Jabari Parker recruitments. Like, Izzo really wants him, so I really want him, Carter. Is this fit? Like, am I right to put him in this upper echelon because, God, this is a great player, and boy, when you watch his film, does he not seem like a Michigan State Spartan to you?
No, 100%. And look, I do videos over on Sleepers like every single day, and I got to stay consistent. And every single Jasiah Jervis video that I do, I start off by saying one simple thing: mine. He's mine.
Yes.
He's
Spartan.
ours. He needs to be I need him at the Breslin Center at his earliest convenience. Now, if he wants to do it on his time, I respect that. Would I like it to be sooner? Absolutely, I'd like it to be sooner. But you know, with the world of recruiting, you never really know what's going to happen. But the one thing that you got to feel good about if you're a Michigan State fan is that, you know, right now I think you're looking at what Izzo does recruiting wise and what his staff's mentality is. It's a little bit different than everybody else, right? Like, I think everybody else in the country, they love to they fire shots at everybody. Like, they just cast this extremely wide net. And I'm not saying that's a bad strategy whatsoever, but the one thing you got to give Izzo and his staff credit for is when he wants you, right? Yes. Like, it doesn't matter if Jasiah Jervis is having a good day or a bad day. If he's looking left or he's looking right, he's going to see green. He's going to see somebody in green. He's going to see Tom Izzo. I'm not sure what classes they take at Stepanak, Bishop, whatever school it is. But I think that, you know, Tom Izzo and staff have a mustache in the back of his geometry class.
Yes.
They are going to be where he's going to be at. And, you know, just hearing the quotes about Jasiah speaking on like how he appreciates how Tom Izzo and the staff talk about him, how he is constantly with them. It does say something when you see these reports come out. And yeah, maybe Will Wade and NC State or Tennessee sent a assistant. Right. Maybe Will Wade will make his way around once he's done busy cheating the sport that we know and love. But outside of that, like, Michigan State is 10 toes down, every staff member going all out for Jasiah. And just him as a prospect quickly, I absolutely love this kid. I think that, you know, it's been a while since Michigan State has had like this 6'5", kind of 6'8" wingspan shooting. I mean, I think back to, I guess Cormac, Max Christie was definitely in that mold, but Jasiah Jervis is a different type player than Cormac is. I think he's a 3-level scorer. I think by the time he leaves college, he'll be an NBA draft pick. I absolutely love his game. And you possibly start to get greedy here, Sheehan. You start thinking like, okay, it's Jervis. We got Carlos Medlock. I don't want to do it, but it's so hard not to.
I'm doing it.
That the backcourt of the future could strike fear in the Big Ten and the country if that occurs. I know. I try not to do it.
Oh, because I wanted to go this route because, look, there are some other big names like you've kind of alluded to right there. There's Maxie Adams out there, okay, the 6'7" small forward out of Cali. He's got Duke, North Carolina, Texas, and Kansas all going after him. He's another top 30 kid. Ethan Taylor, not just a top 30 kid, but number 2 center overall. And not just that, but Carter, as you know, teammates in high school with Carlos Medlock, coming up this year at Link Academy. That's not too bad. And then, of course, Julius Avant, 6'7" power forward from the East Coast. He's a top 90 kid. But if you just had to pit one kid as your next in line after Jasiah Jervis for, I must need this kid. Like this, if I do not get this kid in green and white, I will shed a tear. Who is it? I mean, I kind of lean Taylor just because, wow, how exciting would that be to get like a top center for the first time in what seems like forever. But are you going to go a different route here?
No, I'm going to go Taylor for a couple reasons, but I'll start with this one. Sheehan, how does 7 foot 240 sound?
For either basketball or football, I'm a fan. So, yeah, yes, please. Thank you.
I mean, if he can get a sack, that'd be nice, too. The fact that I had to witness Jordan Maeva on that third down get out of 9 defensive players from Michigan State still pains me to this.
It's a basketball episode today, Carter.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not going to
We'll edit that out. That's okay. We'll edit that out.
But, I mean, with Ethan Taylor, though, I mean, it has been – I mean, I don't know if I'm missing anybody, but is Xavier Tillman the last center that Michigan State – kind of like the big center? I mean, Nick
as
Ward,
far as I remember.
Yeah, like it has been a while since Michigan State has got a true center 7-footer. And, you know, with the recent developments that have come out, I think it was Travis Barnum had a report come out talking about, I even think Finn might have pointed at it a little bit too, but it was said to be a Kansas lean. Mm-hmm. Now Kansas has fallen back a little bit, and it's kind of like I think it's down to Indiana versus Michigan State, where I'll tell you this: if it's Michigan State versus Kansas, I still fear Bill Self. I will. I'm sorry. Phog Allen Fieldhouse scares me. It will always scare me, both in playing there and recruiting. But with all due respect to Indiana, the Candy Stripes, and the movie Hoosiers, which I think is extremely overrated.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If we are going to do a Tom Izzo versus Darian DeVries head-to-head battle for a recruit in the year of our Lord 2025, I'm comfortable there. I'm very, very comfortable there. Why not come play with your high school teammate, Carlos Medlock? Why not come play for a team in Michigan State where I'm looking at a front court with nothing but minutes for you, man? I'm talking about, we have seen Michigan State take high-level, you know, post players like a Jaren Jackson, like a Xavier Tillman, and get them to the point where they are beloved in the Michigan State community. They're playing at the next level. They are getting paid. They are winning awards. I just think you give Ethan Taylor a role at Michigan State. You play him at center. He's a 7-footer. You have the guards. I mean, we're looking at a world where you have upperclassmen Jeremy Fears, upperclassmen Cohen Carr, bring in Medlock, maybe bring in Jervis, bring in Ethan Taylor with that. Like that is a certified, bona fide top 5 team in the country, easily.
Would it be the best recruiting class since 2016? Of course, that's the one I believe. Bridges, Winston, Langford, and Ward. Just going off the top of the head, I assume that I'm right because I've only seen the picture 1,000 times. But
bar none, yes. Yeah. Especially because it has some similarities too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Carlos Medlock is not like just this completely high level recruit, but he's a Michigan kid. He's up in like the 50s, a little bit undersized, but oh my God, you don't want to check that man. You absolutely do not want to check that man. And he can go just like a Cassius Winston can go. And then you have the high level guys. You have the Jervises, you have the Ethan Taylors, the 5-star kids. I just think that the way Tom Izzo is approaching this, he showed up to the first day of practice in a bubble vest and said he lost weight. That man's gearing up for something. He's not just wearing a bubble vest to practice and talking about his weight loss for no reason. He's up to something. I think he feels good about what he could possibly do in this class.
This episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. These are the moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. Guys, you know what? I know it was a tough loss for our Spartans last week, but I think one play late into the night, game was kind of already over, but I can't just dismiss the 75-yard Aiden Childs to Amari Kelly connection because, look, it shows the explosiveness of Amari Kelly, a great transfer portal pickup so far from Michigan State, and also that was a dime, dropped 45 yards down the field by our guy Aiden Childs, who's having a pretty solid season so far. So, look, I know it was a loss, but, man, what a great example of how well those two have played so far. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning, and just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. It's Mazda, move and be moved. Also, guys, look your best with Alumni Hall because they are here to deck you out this football season. Alumni Hall has the largest selection of officially licensed gear from all the top brands brands you're looking for. We're talking Nike, Columbia, Champion, Yeti, New Era, and so much more, guys. They have apparel for the entire family, from kids to adults, plus a huge selection of hats, gifts, and all the tailgating gear you could need to make your setup the best in the parking lots this season. And they really take care of the Spartan community, guys. Hey, students, faculty of Michigan State, as well as military and all first responders, you get 10% off with a valid ID in the store. And on top of all that, go ahead and follow them on social media and download the Alumni Hall app to get even better deals and sales. So pop into Alumni Hall in the Eastwood Town Center in the Lansing area near the Apple Store, or shop online or through their app. And guys, best part is, for every $150 you spend, you're going to get $10 in Hall cash to use for the next time. So grab the new game day look or upgrade your tailgate with Alumni Hall, your ultimate Michigan State shopping destination. Not just this class, but let's talk about this upcoming season that will tip off before we know it here. And something that Tom Izzo just has to absolutely positively love is something that I love. And it's the lack of fanfare going into the season. They're not on any top 25 list that you look at. And that's including one that I found on a great account on Sleepers Media. Carter, have you ever listened to those guys over there?
You know what? Every now and then I tune in. Yeah,
I think they do a pretty solid job. Yeah. So they had a list out there, top 25 teams going into the season. Michigan State now in the top 25. So Carter, all jokes aside, do you truly believe that Michigan State is not the top 25, or are you just stirring the pot knowing that this team loves having a chip on its shoulder? You got the call from Tom Izzo. He knew that you guys were making the graphic, and he said, you son of a, you know what, do not put us anywhere near that top 25 list. Like, is this truly an outside the top 25 roster to start this season?
Listen, I know what I got to do. I can only have so much control over my team, Sheehan, and I got to do my part. And one thing I can control is what my graphics guy does. And I said, you know what? I don't even want to be at 22. Leave us out, because it's going to be special if you do it. No, I do think they deserve to be more, anywhere between probably 20 and 25. I think realistically, I think
fair.
They just lose so much from last season, like Jace and Jaden and the NC State kid who I'm losing my
Trevor Holloway.
Yeah, something along those lines. But like, in all seriousness, like, he was a big part of last year's team, and there's just so much to replace. And as much as it feels great to bring back a good core of the team that won the Big Ten by 3 games, by the way, sometimes people forget that. It's hard to put them higher just based on the roster itself. Honestly, I think it is a respect to them and an ode to Izzo on what we believe he can do by putting them in that 20 to 25 range, because there are some questions about the roster. Like, obviously, I think Michigan State fans feel better about most of the country than the roster, as they should. And Tom Izzo, I think himself, feels good about the roster. But when you compare it to some other teams and what they did, I think it is just a little bit more so on like a back end of the country in the top 25 team.
It's funny too, or maybe it's not funny, depending on how you want to look at last season. I think it turned out pretty well. Again, they won the Big Ten by 3 games, but 3-point shooting wasn't this team's forte. But still, the guys that you lost, Akins, of course, Holloway, I think his name was Booker, and then that Jason Richardson guy that's in the NBA, they can at least space the floor. Like, even though the percentages weren't there, they could space the floor. Whereas this year, Fears is out on the court for a long time. You lose spacing there. I'm sure Trey Ford can space it. But at your 3 position, like Jordan Scott, is he going to be ready day one? I'm not sure. Yes, there are some questions, but also you have answers with Cohen Carr comes back, Jackson Kohler comes back, Jeremy Fears, of course, comes back. If those 3 guys I just named were transfers, it sounds stupid, but like, I firmly believe this. Do you think they'd be a top 20 team just because it's boring that they're returning? Like, if they were shiny transfers, oh yeah, media is all about it then.
Yeah, no, I do think so. And, I think that the shooting concerns are probably what puts this roster where it is. Yeah. And, just to put it out there, I think there's some people outside of Michigan State's fan base that I just don't think kind of know how to embody like what Jeremy Fears is to this team. Like, they call him a foul baiter, they call him a flop, right. they call him all that. But like, this is still the same guy that from the minute the ball is tipped, I still don't forget him getting 2 inches from Trey Donaldson's face within 10 seconds of the game just because he made him dribble out of bounds. And that strikes fear in the opponent. And Cohen Carr is the best athlete in college basketball, bar none. Yes. He's the best athlete in college basketball. Jackson Kohler, I think, with an increased role, is a post threat. The University of Illinois certainly knows that, if you want to ask them what they can do, what Jackson Kohler can do. So, like, I do think that it is a little bit underrated in how it operates. And then I think in today's day and age with college basketball, it's just shooting concerns are they deter everybody, right? And
yeah, of course,
this team had Caleb Glenn. Honestly, to put your question, I think to how I would put it, if Caleb Glenn was healthy and on this roster, I actually think that would boost them up a little bit. Losing him hurts. It definitely hurts, because I do think that there was a world where when it got to the end of the season, I think you could have been looking at Fears, let's say Kurtang and or Trey Fort, whichever one emerges. Caleb Glenn at the 3, Cohen Carr at the 4, and then your choice of 5, maybe Jackson Kohler, maybe Carson Cooper, depending on how you want to play, maybe even a Jesse McCulloch if he improves this season. So I think that's more so of a loss. But yeah, I do think that sometimes teams that it does seem that there's a little bit of lack of respect for a team that did so much last season returning what they returned, because I think there are teams across the country that are getting boosts for returning basketball players from their good basketball team, but it seems to be a little bit skewed sometimes when you look at Michigan State.
Now, let's talk about guys that are going to have an increased role, and 2 of these guys, of course, are going to have an increased role. They've never even took a dribble in college basketball, but earlier this week, Tom Izzo, he spoke with the media. We're just going to go through 3 players right now. He said he likens Jordan Scott to former Spartan Max Christie, which is pretty high praise. I mean, Cormac, I'm sorry, as you name him, is he was a 5-star. Like, he was solid until the calendar flipped to February, but that's neither here nor there. We all get the point that he's trying to make. He also said Cam Ward is the strongest, toughest freshman that he has had in a while. Honestly, after watching his high school tape, AAU tape, that does not surprise me in the slightest. And then said Jesse McCulloch will have a bigger role than originally planned. Which to that I say, of course, like, there's one true center on this team. Like, someone else has to be tall and play the 5. But I digress. Of those 3 guys, Jordan Scott, Cam Ward, Jesse McCulloch, where do your eyeballs go? Who's under the biggest microscope going into this season?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting how it's taken form, on my opinion, on those guys, because I think that obviously pedigree wise, Cam Ward is the guy, right? I think that Cam Ward is a jump shot away from being an NBA prospect. Okay. And I think that it's not completely broken. I do think that, the way he plays the game, I mean, even think back into early in the summer, the first thing I see from Cam Ward is he gets a rebound in a rebound drill and then chest bumps Izzo like he wants to put him through the middle of the practice floor. Like that, if that's not an Izzo guy, I don't know what is. And then for Jordan Scott, like, one of the things I was impressed with him is that, this is a kid who I think his frame needs to come a little bit a ways, and he knows that. But everything I see from him is competing. He's getting in the mud, right? Yeah. And not to throw some shade at Max Christie here, because he's obviously extremely talented. But I don't know if mentally he was a guy who wanted to necessarily get his nose dirty or get in the mud with the team. And I think that Jordan Scott is a player that wants to do that. And I think the opportunity is there for him, because obviously, like I just talked about it at length, this team needs shooting. And Jordan Scott is one of the few players that I think has size as far as height and length and shooting. So what's his role going to look like? I'm not truly positive on that. But I do think that a player like Cam Ward, who I look at, is going to force Izzo's hand to play him. Like, I don't know if you want to do it at the 4, if you want to play him at the 3. I think you just got to find a way to get that kid on the floor. He's too talented. The motor's too good. And Izzo loves playing kids like that. If you're going to check, play hard, you can definitely play for Michigan State. And then with McCulloch, like, to your point, someone like we need somebody. Someone
has to be tall, right?
Someone has to be tall, and I think that he can be that guy. Obviously, coming off the injury last season, the redshirt year, got to see where he's at. But there's nothing but space and opportunity for them in that front court to make a move. So you got to look to see what he could be this season.
Last quick question here. Cam Ward, who I'm sure is a fantastic kid off the court, but like we've said, he plays with aggression. He plays with a mean streak. He plays with some dog in him. Over under 1.5 technical fouls this season for Cam Ward, which both I will welcome any and all texts. Like this will be a welcome sight, because that shows me tenacity, Carter.
Yeah, I would hammer the over. I'd also like to explore alternate lines. There's got to be something at 4.5, and I might sprinkle.
how many texts until Izzo starts to get legitimately upset? Be like, all right, you got to put the line back in the cage, young man. Is it 4? I think 4 is when it gets.
No, the thing is, in Izzo fashion, it'll be the first one. I think back to I think it was like Malik Hall his sophomore or freshman year in Maui when they were playing Georgia. He got a tech on a dunk because he obviously stared at somebody, and Izzo met him in a Hawaiian shirt at half court and let him have it. That could easily happen with Cam Ward because I do think he is a player that plays extremely hard and with an edge, and like all great basketball players should do. What's the point of putting the ball in the basket or dunking on somebody if you don't verbally tell them that just happened at their expense?
I get it. The player might have missed out on it. You should tell him specifically.
Just in case you didn't know, I did that.
Thank you. When we become co-commissioner, and I've said this for a long time, you yam on someone, you get 3 free seconds to do and say anything that you could possibly want.
Facts.
So that's good. When we start to get our position next year, that's going to be the first and probably only rule instated. I got nothing more other than that. But guys, that's Carter Elliott. You already know where to find him. Sleepers Media, doing fantastic work with Greg and the gang over there. And guys, if you think that this has been fun so far, we will switch it up. We will get to football and 5 best bets here in a hot second. So, hey. All right, guys, it's almost the weekend, so it's time to look back and crowd this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. So, hey, let's break it down. For our Michigan State Spartans, for the second time this season, yes, Aiden Childs, he delivered it in a big way with a 4-touchdown performance, doing it through the air, doing it with his legs, showing Spartan Nation and the whole Big Ten why he is one of the best quarterbacks in this conference. Guys, he had a lot of pressure last week, but again, he's elusive. He could break out of it and extend those plays to keep Michigan State fighting in any game that they're going to play this season for the most part. And guys, just like Aiden Childs delivered for the Spartans, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season long, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period goes through November 18th. Also, guys, need to talk your ears off about 5-Hour Energy. That's right, I had that running through my veins last weekend because that was a late one, guys. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver in tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus V vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot, throw it in your pocket, throw it in your backpack, throw it in your golf bag, your tailgating cooler, whatever it is. It's taking up minimal space, guys, okay? And speaking of just, the golf course, nothing is better than, hey, you're making the turn. You just threw down whatever, food that you want to, but you need that extra mental and energetic boost, guys. It's right there, 5-Hour Energy. Enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com. Again, guys, 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Now let's go swimming in the mailbag here over at LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com because Coach Chris writes in kind of a lengthy email about the defense, but brings up a lot of good points that we will comment on before getting to 5 best bets. So Coach Chris writes in, okay, just wanted to give my 2 cents here. Looking at the defense, I've noticed a pattern. In all 4 games so far, the second half has been better than the first, and not just that, improvements seem to be consistent through the game. Even in the USC game, the defense looked confident and decisive most of the second half. So I'm wondering, are our players still so new to Rossi's system that each time a new team comes in and does something they haven't seen that they've defended, they are unsure at first and then adapt over time and know what to do? And if that's the case, does that mean that the more games they play, the more they see, the more they'll feel and play confidently and decisively? Because if that's the case, we should be really good by late October and into November. Or does Rossi just struggle to prepare our players for games and will continue to struggle in first halves moving forward? Or am I seeing this all wrong and our players really are just that bad? Because I would take our second half defense paired with our offense and like our chances in the majority of our games moving forward, just saying. There is a lot of different ways we could go with that email. I do think that there is something to maybe, hey, a lot of these transfers, namely in the secondary, are seeing Power 4 football more than they have at the previous stops. Maybe it does take a little bit to get acclimated with the game. But there are some other truths, too, with our defense, some that Coach Chris pointed out, some that I just want to reiterate if we haven't been clear enough so far. But like Joe Rossi, your defensive coordinator, he is like, sounds ridiculous. He is trying his best out there. It's not that he's just rolling out the same ideas, the same ways to get to the quarterback over and over and over again. No, he is mixing it up with his blitzes. He is sticking with, hey, sometimes we're just going to rush 4 men and we're going to figure it out in the secondary. And I know that because, well, we watched all of last season, but not just the USC game, not the Youngstown game, but guys, join me 3 games ago. That Boston College game, they were sending blitzes pretty often in the first half. It clearly wasn't working. It even bled into the third quarter a little bit. And then when it got to winning time for this Michigan State team, the defense namely, they only blitzed 1 time in the entire fourth quarter. I think that was deliberate. That was an adjustment that you could see because, yeah, sure, we're not getting to the quarterback anyway on these blitzes. Why waste another man that we could have in the secondary and set up another guy that Dylan Lonergan has to thread a ball between in the zone or man, whatever they were doing on that said play? But he does make adjustments. It is not just out of laziness that the defense is not working out. And again, this goes to our recap after the game. And maybe this is why I was a little more on the passionate side, I suppose, is that it just really does feel like a helpless situation, so to speak. Like, you do see Rossi trying different things. So far, it doesn't really seem like a ton of them work. So that's kind of where I'm at right there. That's why my passion was maybe ratcheted up a few notches after the game, is that I'm looking at this defense, not just after the USC game, against a really talented, really athletic USC team, maybe more athletic than you'll see the rest of the season. So I also saw the Youngstown game. I also saw the Boston College game, and it doesn't seem like a whole lot is working. But maybe this bye week, dang it for all, they can finally find something that will actually work and get to the quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, there's a few truths out there. Rossi is trying a lot of different things out there. It just ain't working because the personnel isn't up to snuff. The good news is you will not face a team. Well, you most likely will not face a team as fast as USC. Yes, Penn State still does have some great players. Michigan, of course, they have some really solid running backs over there. But across the board, I don't think it's going to be as bad as USC. And also, if I could just jump to next week's game, Nebraska still is really good, guys. Like, this will still be a good test for this defense. Just like USC, they are really good in run blocking. But unlike USC, they're not as explosive. You don't see a lot of these 10-plus yard runs that USC had coming into the game last weekend. This is going to be a tough task for Nebraska, or against Nebraska, and including their quarterback too. Jokes aside about his Patrick Mahomes cosplay that he likes to do and deny, the kid overall, one of the better quarterbacks that you could find in this conference, in my opinion. So they're going to have to show up some way, somehow. I will state my expectations early next week because I think there was a little confusion of what I do and don't expect from this team. But just to spoil it, I expect 1 turnover. I expect 2 sacks. I expect to see the punter at least 3 times. That's right. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. I'm keeping the expectations at a bare minimum. So please reach that bare minimum. All right, guys, let's get to 5 best bets. And that's right. Everyone on your feet. Come on, let's go. I want to hear that applause. Thank you very much. Okay, awesome. Because we went 5-0 last week, guys. That's right. This doesn't always happen here on Locked On Spartans. Well, we have been profitable in 5 best bets the last 2 seasons. 5-0 is tough to get, so we're going to celebrate that. Texas Tech plus 3.5 at Utah, never a doubt. Indiana minus 6.5 was certainly never a doubt. Oklahoma minus 6.5 over Auburn was absolutely a doubt. They cashed in on a 2-point conversion late in the game. Miami minus 8.5. I learned that the week prior, if you bet against DJ Lagway, it will never be a doubt. And then over 54.5 in the Michigan State USC game. That really, truly never felt like a doubt. So, guys, 5-0 last week. This puts the season record at 12-8. So let's just vault ourselves into this amazing slate of college football. And we are going to start, of course, the Big Ten game of the week. The crowd's going to be rocking here. All eyes on this game as Rutgers and Minnesota, they will meet. Not under the lights. I think it's an afternoon game. But nevertheless, guys, we're going to go under 51.5. I'm not in love with Minnesota's offense, but I do enjoy their defense, especially against a guy that they should be pretty familiar with, Rutgers quarterback Athan Kaliakmanis, or Athan Kaliakmanis, however you want to say his name. We're going under 51.5. Guys, the actual game that everyone's going to be glued on this Saturday, Penn State, Oregon, whiteout. I'm going Penn State minus 3.5. I am fading the public here. The public loves Oregon, but man, Guys, I know James Franklin in big games is not necessarily a great match made in heaven, but this would be his Mona Lisa if he blows this one. A, Penn State, a very talented team. B, coming off of a bye week. Oregon traveling across the country. My goodness gracious. And plus, Oregon's run defense, not all too great, whereas that is the strength of Penn State's offense. So, yes, I do love the Nittany Lions -3.5. USC, 9 a.m. kickoff for their bodies, which is whatever. Hey, who are we to give anyone any, free passes with kickoff times? But I do like USC -6.5. Seeing that athleticism for ourselves last week into the wee hours of Saturday night, I do like that. I do love their trenches too. My God, that front seven on defense for USC, that was even better than I expected here. I like 6.5 on the road over Illinois for back-to-back losses for the Illini. And guys, I'm gonna do something I actually don't like to do, and that is join the public in a bet. Because Indiana -7.5 over Iowa. I know that it's going to be somewhat of maybe a trap game for Indiana because they just came off of a top 25 game, and that could be emotionally fueled, but they beat them by 1,000 points. I don't think that was as emotional of a game for Indiana as a lot of people have led on to believe. And look, Kurt Cignetti, he doesn't want to beat teams. He wants to throw them through a wood chipper. And I think Iowa, with their secondary too, I think Indiana can put up a butt ton of points, guys. And for the last game, Auburn, Texas A&M. That's right, Marcel Reed versus Jackson Arnold. I like over 52.5 points. Now, is this because the other week, Texas A&M against Notre Dame, I bet the under, and I specifically cited Texas A&M's quarterback as a reason I'm going under, and he burnt me? Yeah, this is kind of my penance here. I am going to go Auburn, Texas A&M over 52.5. So, guys, before we let you go into your weekend, let's just recap that. Rutgers, Minnesota, under 51.5. Penn State -3.5 over Oregon. USC -6.5 over Illinois. Indiana -7.5 on the road at Iowa. Auburn, Texas A&M over 52.5. Now, here are two bonus bets that we're not going to count against our record, but I would be remiss if I didn't throw you two Ryder Cup bets. This is going to be top point scorer on each side. Bryson DeChambeau. This isn't that aggressive. It's +650 odds at FanDuel right now. That's the third best odds on the USA side. But hey, shorter rough at Bethpage, you can get way more aggressive, and his teammate for likely most, if not all, these matches that he will be in, Ben Griffin, I like him as a safety valve, okay? Really solid enough around the greens to kind of mitigate the damage that Bryson might do with his short game. So I do like Bryson DeChambeau +650, but the launch shot that I like comes from the Europe side, and it is Robert McIntyre, Bob McIntyre, whatever you want to call him. 14-1 to be Europe's top point getter. That is the third lowest. He might not play in every single match, so this is where the aggressive bet comes in. But I'm throwing all strokes gained stats. I'm throwing all the stats aside because truly I go inside the brain of Bob McIntyre. He thrives in discomfort, whether it's weather, whether it's just mentally grueling conditions where everyone else around him is wilting like a flower. This guy is tough. I think of all the Scottish Opens. I think last year's U.S. Open, when it gets uncomfortable, when it gets annoying, when you just want to drive yourself insane, there is one headstrong golfer out there. It's Bob McIntyre. The weather will be wonky, it looks like, this week in New York. The fans are going to even ratchet up the discomfort even more. So, yeah, on the European side, Bob McIntyre 14-1, guys. All right. Enjoy your weekend. What a slate of college football. We got the Ryder Cup. We got the Detroit Tigers doing whatever slop they're going to do, those idiots over at Comerica Park. But, hey, guys, let's actually have a fun weekend. Let's focus on what makes you happy. Not the football teams or not the baseball teams that make you very frustrated. All right, guys. Hey, we'll see you on the other side of this weekend. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Love you all.